So we are now live, Spencer. So we're waiting for the audience to build up, and then I will introduce you. Or if we don't have an audience, we just have a lovely conversation that we've just been having for the last 10 or 15 minutes, which was fantastic. So how you been? We just have a chat for a little bit. How you been keeping? How's your family?
Yeah, really good. Family well. Kids back at school now. Homeschooling. Which presents its own challenges. My daughter's doing her mocks, which is, I think, finishes the end of this week. Well, it does. So the moody teenager will hopefully calm down a little bit and normality will resume in the house. So we're tiptoeing around just until Friday.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, my son's doing his final exam at university, and then that's it. Afternoon, Max, and afternoon, Andrea. Thanks for joining us. Can you hear us? And is the picture clear? Please let me know, and then we will get going. I'll introduce Spencer to you. So, can you hear us? And are we clear? So it was lovely. I was doing these, Spencer, and I was so blurred. It was just ridiculous. Absolutely, absolutely crazy. People could hear me, but they couldn't see me that well. So
you look good to me. It's all good here.
Well, I've gone to a different room today. So thank you, Edward. Welcome, brilliant. So Ed, thanks for joining us. Max, yep, can see and hear you both fine. Andrea, yep, sound and vision excellent, fantastic. Hi, Shell, thanks for joining us again. All clear and we can hear you. Hi, Owen, really proud of you. Getting some offers over the weekend, 3 properties. 3 offers on 1 property, that's excellent. Paul, thanks for joining us. Hi, Ruth, thanks for joining us. Edward, yep, I look tanned. It's very nice. This working from home and having too much sunshine is lovely. So, Spencer, thanks very much for joining us today. I think I'm going to embarrass Spencer. I always embarrass Spencer when I speak to him. So Spencer has been at Paramount Properties for 22 years. Hopefully I got that right today. He was my next door neighbour when I was at Green & Company. We were, hi Jeremy, hi Shataka. We were competitors. I must admit, going to go live on this. I wasn't a fan of Paramount and I wasn't a fan of estate agents and letting agents at the time. After I left Green & Company 8 years ago, I met Spencer at a Property Academy event and we got talking, and I really got to know Spencer ever since the last 8 years. And Spencer to me is an exceptional lettings agent. He's one of the best I've ever come across in the UK. His knowledge, his culture, the way he runs his business, his systems and processes are absolutely fantastic. And I'm really excited that he has given us his time today again to share. I'll give him some tough questions. So, Spencer, are you ready?
I'll do my best.
So, first question I've got from you. What have you actually learned from COVID-19? If you explain, what did you do with your team? And then what have you learnt? Because I know you've done a hell of a lot. And last week you had 13 move-ins, which I think is exceptional with what's going on. Kevin Ellis, thanks Kevin for joining us. He's called you a legend. Don't know why. Or is that a legend? So legend, I think. So hi Kevin, looking forward to you coming on Friday again. So thank you.
Hey
so
Kevin.
Spence, what have you learned from COVID-19?
I think like most people, the first few days were blind panic. Didn't quite know what to do. Was really worried about, obviously the safety of everyone first and foremost, and then how we were going to possibly manage to run the business from afar. We're an independent, so there's 24 people in the office at any one time. We quickly got the team out, I think 24 hours, working from home. I've stayed in the office, not permanently. I do go home in the evening, every day since, mainly because we manage quite a few properties, and we've got to give keys in and out to contractors for emergency works. I also have 3 children, and bandwidth is not so good at home. We don't have enough hardware, so it made sense for me to come to the office, which has given me a lot of time to think. After the panic, it was about reimagining how the business could be and take it as a big opportunity to accelerate a lot of the ideas that we had, while that first few weeks was quiet. We artificially controlled the number of applicants coming to us by taking everything, practically everything, off the lettings list, to speak to landlords individually to see where they were at, see what they wanted to do with their product. And a lot of landlords, vast majority for us, have actually invested in their property during that time, which has helped a lot of our contractors out, which is fantastic. And then the byproduct of that is we now have really nice properties to rent. And it was 15 last weekend. We've done 54 lettings deals since lockdown. 94% of our renewals have renewed, all on the same rent, bar 1 or 2 high-level rents where they've just, asked to come down. I think the maximum reduction was 10% that we had on a high-level rental. So we've spoken to every single landlord and every single tenant. That's what the team did in the first few weeks, to try and just see where they were at, to make sure that we had positive lines of communication. We were learning. We made lots of little mistakes and errors along the way with hindsight. What we worked out quite quickly is there was an appetite and hunger for people to move, but people wanted to do it very much safely. So we wait for a property to become vacant, agree a works program with the landlord, some quite minor, but they were all positive taking that property forward. Then we would go out and do a video with commentary. So it's myself or one other. It was myself to start with. And I think the first video was about 2 minutes long. And I thought, wow, this is far too long. And what else can I possibly say? Sent it to the first consumer, and the consumer's first comment was, "Spence, go back. This is far too short." So back I went. And what we've learned is 3 to 6 minutes is what people want, give or take. We've had now just shy of 20,000 views of our videos since we went live, which is just over 30 days ago, which is pretty sensational. And just over 40% of the viewers have watched the entire video. So pretty remarkable, really. We've adjusted our website so that we've got a new website coming, which has been behind the scenes since sort of November, December. But the existing website, we've just tweaked a little bit. We've made sure that our blogs are updated and relevant. And now if you click on an image on our own site, there's an option within the photo for a video, so people can very quickly find what they're looking for. And now, more often than not, every applicant that's coming through to us is saying, do you have a video of this property? So the idea is to give the consumer more of what they want, to look at it at a time that suits them, without us having, forget COVID, but without us having to drive all around London, because as you know, we cover most boroughs in London from one office. There's just so much wastage. There's it's akin to a restaurant where you have, 10 meals going out on a pass. You don't have 8 coming back, and that's deemed to be a successful restaurant. Or 10 cars on a production line and 8 are no good, not fit for purpose. But certainly in our industry, if you have a consultant that's out could potentially show 10 properties, and they come away with 2 deals at the end of the day, happy days. That's seen as a big win. And that to me just sort of dawned on me as being completely crazy and insane. And we really try to work ways around making sure that our, environmentally, we're, doing a better thing. We're wasting less time. And we could have a situation, if we're pointing all of our focus on the landlord and the product, then the applicants will be able to see the video, and actually those 10 people will boil down to 2, but they'll do it in their own time without us having to waste their time or our time. And then also hassling the current occupant, which is something that we've avoided completely. So all of the business has been done from afar and safely. And the team are super excited, particularly the consultants. We're working with a third party at the moment who are going to act as a first filtration for us. So they're going to partially qualify the applicants that come through. Not talking about property, just partially qualify. So week one into lockdown, because of the stock numbers reducing, we had I think it was around 25 applicants. I think it was 22. And then 3 weeks ago, we peaked at 640 applicants in a week. And that's being dealt with by me a little bit, and then two other guys, one of whom is our David Attenborough, who's going out doing the videography now. So it was a struggle. It's not manageable to do that. And that's indicative of what we're having for us. That's one of our problems. And what we've done in the past, before this happened, it would have been, okay, let's put more resource at the problem, which is a person. Okay, well, that doesn't really solve the problem. We're just farming and fielding the calls. That's all we're doing. We're not finding people new homes, and that's what we should be doing. So the first filtration process will be up and running, hopefully within 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to be using Moneypenny to do that. I had a good discussion with them yesterday. We use a platform called Area, that's brainchild of Keaton's, and that's our second filtration process, which we currently have, but it doesn't solve the big volume of applicants that we're dealing with from the start. And we always want to give alternatives. You know, if someone needs a one-bedroom flat and maybe the budget doesn't quite stretch, or they need a different tube line or whatever, so Moneypenny will have, it will be like us saying it, but it will just be pointing people in the right directions without the consultant having to sift through and find the right people for our stock. So that's been a sort of super exciting progression, really, and something that
how have your consultants feel about that? Are they relieved that that work's been taken away from them and they can focus on, you know, earning money?
They've told me that it will give them the time to point their resource at the landlord and the product, which is where I like to spend my time. Because if you've got a really great landlord that's akin with your values and you like that person, you're going to grow and learn with them over a period of time, and you work over a period of time making sure their product is as good as you possibly can make it in line with their requirements and budget, then great people will come. You know, that's what happens. And then obviously this stock, the more you work on it, the easier it is to manage. And then the more properties you can manage, the more properties each individual property manager can manage. Because if they're managing 30 or 40 properties that are really hard to look after compared to 40 that are a dream because they've been worked on for the last however long, you know, continually little incremental improvements, then the business can, you know, flow and improve. And that's really where we want to try and get to. I think that the consultants are super excited. And that to have a lot of time to invest in the right thing rather than, you know, the talk sometimes here is, oh, we've got through all the applicants at 11 o'clock. Well, that's just a process piece. That doesn't, you know, we're just getting through them, you know, calling, might be leaving a voicemail, emailing, then following up the next day. Then you start getting them coming back to you while you're on the phone. Then you're just playing this sort of table tennis scenario. So the idea is we're going to have after the second phase, the consultants will be dealing with partially qualified applicants who then will be pointing in the direction of the video that we're going to continue with. The idea, I think, with the video moving forward, when it's safe to do so, is one of the team will be more presenting the video, like a person will be there. And at the moment, we're just walking around, you know, holding our iPhones and, you know, talking about what we can see just from a, you know, safety perspective.
And have you looked at doing Facebook Lives as well? Is it just the videos?
Today.
Or
with you. We've talked about that earlier.
Facebook Lives with your tenants going round, or you doing it and then getting setting it up as an event similar to this, letting your tenants know that you've got a 2-bed flat in Greencroft Gardens going to come on. You're going to be there at 1:30 and do a virtual viewing first. And then if they, you know, like everything and ask all the questions, then you can get them down there to save time as well.
So we've been looking at that slightly differently. I'm working with a developer at the moment, because another one of our repeated challenges is once we've gone through this process and we show someone a property, there's two repetitive hurdles that we trip over. One is bad credit, and one is someone is a bit confused about the type of contract they're on, or maybe they're owning a bonus or some additional income that the reference company don't deem part of their, annual salary. So those deals are not able to progress. So what we're doing is the applicant will answer three, hopefully three, possibly four questions, which will partially reference that individual. And then it will guide them through to properties that they are automatic, that they are that suits their requirements. So I'm looking for a 2-bed property with parking, and it will take me to those 2 or 3 that we have, so I'll be able to watch those videos. And the idea is it will be like the applicants who are partially qualified through the app will be able to see property maybe 48 hours before they go on general release. So a sort of variation on that theme, but it doesn't, that the Facebook situation obviously gets, great traction with applicants looking, but for us, it doesn't solve our problem with the referencing hurdle, which we're trying to wrap up in one piece. And then further on, that app will then, you'll be able to call your property manager, your renewal's coming up in 90 days, we'll be able to communicate that way. The appliances are this, the instruction manuals are that. So yeah, we're working on sort of filling out the back end of that and hope to release that, I would say within 3 months is the plan.
Okay, lovely. Hi, Mark Mayer says hi, Spencer. Mark from Bournemouth. Yeah. Kevin Ellis says no, I didn't. Hi, Laura. Thank you. So please, if you can like it, share it, get your colleagues on as well. And if you've got any questions for Spencer whilst we're talking, put them in the comment section so I can answer or ask him as well. I'm going to swear now. Rent only.
Oof. Not one of my favourite things, that, Stephen.
I know, it's not where the magic happens, is it, Spencer? So let's talk about magic for letting agents. So I know you're not a fan of rent only, full stop, but there will be people on here that will have rent only properties, rent only landlords. Your advice to them to get into rent collection and fully managed.
Well, first and foremost, when you're going out on a valuation, you just draw a line in the sand, and your entry level offering is rent collection. It just doesn't exist. You don't talk about it. So our entry level is, well, guess what? They're there. You're there. They've done some sort of research. They like you. They've had some personal recommendation, Google reviews. They like where the office is situated. Whatever it is, past success. But if you walk in with an option of a let only scenario, you give them the option to make that choice. Well, just don't say it. When I first sort of talked about it with the team, they were like, oh, this isn't going to work and all the rest of it. And it's actually very empowering, because people say, oh, well, I'll go with the rent collection service. And actually, moving forward, we want everything to be managed. We do rent collection, but it's sort of, someone comes back with a rent collection valuation. It's like, well, couldn't you get management? Why, couldn't we help them with the management piece? The magic for me is a let only, and this is only, from my experience at Paramount, is quite transactional. So a landlord engages you to find a tenant, you do your due diligence, you find the right person, you do your contract, you do your lovely handover, and you may, if you're good, contact that tenant and landlord every 6 months or on a regular period moving forward. You don't have a connection with the property per se. If you're collecting the rent, you've got a touch point every single month. Hey, how's it going? You can automatically, your foot's in the door. When it's a let only scenario, obviously the initial issue for us was landlords not paying our renewal fees because we didn't have any rent coming in. That was a big challenge for us. So, okay, well, let's make everything rent collection as entry-level service. And then moving forward, you have the opportunity to speak to the landlord about their own home, valuations there, works they might have that they need on their own property, on their rental property, any other rental properties they have, any rental properties they're thinking of having. It becomes much more of a family situation rather than they just, oh yeah, who was it? Who let the flat? Oh, I can't really remember. It was a few years ago. Whereas that would never, ever happen on a rent collection scenario because they're in your mind. You see that statement every month. And you need to be artistic as an agent, and you need to, I think lots of people will say to me, how do you get more landlords? Well, just get your existing landlords to buy another one. You've just doubled your portfolio. It's just, it's pretty simple. Obviously, new landlords are fantastic, but you don't need to sort of chase the new landlords with marketing and big spends and all the rest of it. You've got to know the personality type and the plans of every single landlord you're currently looking after for the next 12, 24, and 36 months. Because if all of your landlords say, well, actually, I'm thinking of selling in 12 months' time, all of them, you've got a big problem on your hands. You want to have those positive conversations about why, how many, the investment opportunity, or speaking to your sales department, making sure that your sales department have got a list of those 10, 20, 30, 40 active buy-to-let landlords that you've got. And not only active, but what exactly are they looking for? Stephen, you love to buy one-bedroom flats in West Hampstead. You don't want anything on the ground floor. You don't want purpose-built, and you only want to share a freehold. Okay, so we're not going to offer you, and we're only going to offer you what you want. And we get to a point now where we've got not lots, but several landlords who will buy properties off the back of, does it fit my criteria? And they don't even need to see it because of past success. So, oh, has Spencer seen it, or has Dexter seen it, or has Adam seen it? Yeah, no problem. Okay, well, let's commit to that property. But it takes a long time to build, to get to that situation. But we would never, ever have got there if we were offering let only as a service. And to me, it's criminal that, agents carry on doing it. It's just, the sweet spot has to be that, for us, the journey starts when you collect the keys. That's what we talk about. Whereas old school agency, transactional is they've done the deal, let's move on to the next one. And that's like, they've moved in, where they're living, maybe their neighbors, the surrounding buildings, what's happening in the area. You can do things from a social media perspective around that area, or around that, tenant profile type or landlord profile type. So I just think there's a huge opportunity. And, if someone doesn't know it exists, they can't, don't you do let only? Why let only? They're for agents who don't want to have any contact with their clients. Why would we ever want to do that?
That's
fantastic. It's a no-brainer to me. It's a no-brainer.
Thank you. So effectively, you see yourself as a wealth manager for your landlords?
I think many of us here are, yeah.
Okay.
Asset management for sure, yeah.
So I'm a new landlord, and I walk into the best agent in West End Lane. Obviously, you guys. Now Green and Company's been converted to Hamptons and Countrywide.
I knew that would be coming. I knew that would be coming.
I'm no longer there. But, look, West End Lane, there's plenty of choice. There's over 30 odd agents there.
Yeah.
And obviously from what I hear and knowing the agents down there, you already stand out differently to the other agents just by your language, and talking what landlords want to hear. So, a new landlord walks into your office, how do how are you asking these questions about, what their plans are? Because I think most letting agents, and sorry if you're on here, is just basically saying, oh, right, you want to find a place to let, fantastic, or, to buy, to let out, great, that's it. But you seem to be digging into a lot more detail about their plans, why they want to buy it. Is it because they want the income? Is it because they want the capital appreciation? How long are you spending with these conversations? Because I think it's important for people on here to understand, It's not a 30-second conversation. Take your name, take your details, and then buy. It's, you're going into a lot of details here, and you manage well over 1,500 people, 1,500 properties, and I know that you've got a vision where you want to see that up to 5,000 in 5 years' time, and I know that you will get to 6,000 in 5 years' time, because I know you've got that hunger and desire.
Grey hairs.
You've got that hunger and desire that's what you will get there. I know you will. So what's that
That's a
conversation, that
dream.
initial conversation, what's
Well,
that initial
well,
conversation look like?
I think it is much more than an initial conversation. It's a continuous conversation at a time that suits that client. Because what you discuss today, tomorrow, literally right now, could be very different. So these regular touch points are critical. And I think what we do differently, we love it when the other agents are invited out, because what they tend to do is they cut down part of a tree. Hey, look at this brochure, dong, as they put it down on the desk. And they talk about them for about 10 minutes and how much experience they've got in the office and their glossy materials and how fantastic their website is and whatever it might be. And what we talk about is them. So the questions are all tailored around that individual landlord. And effectively, the more comfortable you make that landlord, the more they'll talk and they'll give you the hook. And ultimately, you need to find the problem or problems that landlord has got and then tailor make your solutions around those. So we call it flexible within a framework. So this is us, and we can do anything within these boundaries to suit you, Stephen, as an individual. And I heard you say Kevin's here. So Kevin's going to have a different wants and needs and different concerns. Maybe he's moving abroad. Maybe, you're moving to a different part of town, or, you're really worried about, what are the things that most landlords are worried about? They're worried about tenants not paying rent, voids, and dilapidations. So, tailor make some of your, initial conversations around those things. But most landlords just want to do the right thing. They just don't know how to do the right thing. And we've got many landlords, who from years gone by, who are individual landlords and who have got a portfolio of more than 25. I think we've got 6 now.
Wow.
So, and that's from having those conversations. Of course, they're brave and that's their personality type, and it's fun. It's not all down to Paramount, not at all. But we have helped them. We've helped them find properties, not necessarily through Paramount. Where, we'll always go out and have a look at a property before someone commits to a buy-to-let, because they want us to look after it. And you've got to make sure that they're buying for the right reasons. They're buying with their head and not their heart when it's a buy-to-let. So, it doesn't need to be that perfect scenario. It just needs to fit your criteria in terms of, I want to retain my property for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Okay, well, let's have a conversation about that. Because if it's a 2 years, Stephen, that you're going to keep the property, we don't really need to talk about product uplift. We need to make sure that you've got, health and safety elements in line, and we've got to aesthetically make it look as good as possible. But we don't need to talk about big capital investment, because that's just a waste of your time. You don't want to do that. But guess what? If you get that right, in 12 months' time, I can have another conversation with you and I'm saying, hey, Stephen, are you still on track? Oh, no, things have changed. All right, what's changed? Well, actually, I've inherited some money, or things have changed for me at work, or whatever it might be, and I'm going to retain this one, and actually I might need to look at buying another one. So it's a moving target. When I first met you, I was a young man, very young man, and what I wanted, what motivated me to go to work then, has changed 5 or 6 times from where I am now. And guess what? Landlords' wants and needs are exactly the same. So unless you ask them continually but at a time that suits them, and check in with them at a time that suits them, how would you ever know? You just won't know.
And obviously now with the technology we've learned, Zoom, you've got no excuse, to have a virtual water over Zoom, have a conversation with people and start this, and build this relationship a lot longer if people don't want to do the face-to-face meeting now.
Exactly. exactly. And, you know, with the technology, you can show them around their property. There's so many different ways you can highlight improvements. You know, there's one particular property at the moment where property's just come vacant. I've been down to the flat. We could let it as it is, no problem. But we've given the landlord 3 different options, which is now, and you're going to get X, and do a bit more. It's probably going to be 4 weeks work, and you're going to get Y, and so on and so forth. And the landlords, oh, thanks so much for all the information. We go down, we do a video, we send it through on WhatsApp. So guess what? All my landlords are on WhatsApp. So just contact me whenever you want to. It's so fantastic. It's so personal. They can see the little picture that changes, and I can. All right, who's in that picture? I've got a landlord in New York that we've just let a flat to in Dartmouth Road, and he said his little caption is music helps my soul. So I just thought, what music do you like? Straight away. So we're not talking about property, and then we start talking about about music rather than the property situation. So I think really try and befriend your landlords and be brave enough to ask them questions that might be a slightly off-piste. Don't go in and replicate, because if you're only talking about, well, the other agent said it was going to be 300 a week and we're saying it's 320 a week, and they're saying it's 8% and that's saying 7%. I mean, come on, we can do better than this. Talk to them as if you're helping them, because that's what you really want to do, because ultimately that's our job. Our job is to solve problems for the clients, and every client will have slightly different problems. And we need to be, it's not, hey, this is what we do. Do you want to join the party? It's like, what's your problem? What can we do to help you? Just
like going to a doctor. You don't go to a doctor and they don't tell you, right, I've looked after 950,000 patients. You're an individual. They're looking after you, and they're going to diagnose you and your needs, and you're doing exactly the same thing. So relationship between the sales and lettings department. So going back years, we used to view lettings as a black sheep. And then soon we realised that wasn't the case, and obviously it's very valuable if you were ever to sell your business. There's going to be certain people that may be watching now or later on replay that think, well, hold on a second, we don't have a great relationship with our sales department. They're only interested in just selling all the stuff that they get on, and not passing anything over to lettings or helping each other out. How did you build that bond that you've got between the 2 departments, where you can both see it's of benefit to both of you?
Well, the key cross-pollination between the departments is absolutely key. Shared ideas. If from our perspective, our sales department have always got a list of active buyers who are buying with their head and not their hearts. Well, that's a great list to have. They've all bought property before, so they know the ropes. They're not going to be guided by parent or guardian or whatever. Don't go for that one. Hasn't got quite the nice garden or whatever it is. They are buying it based on their portfolio requirements. So the flip side for us, it's an open plan office. I'm looking over here like you think I'm mad, but I'm actually just looking at the office. That's what I'm doing. That we are entwined. We all work together. Sometimes we'll sit in each other's departments. We'll talk about different clients. We'll invite landlords in so they can speak to the sales team, and vendors can come in. And because that vendor is going to buy a property, they buy a 1-bed flat. They might have a family, they have a baby, and we want them to come back to us. So they're very much entwined within every single person in the office. There is not an invisible wall here at all, because we need sales, and sales need us. And we're two are much more powerful than one. And there's been many occasions where we've had situations where a landlord has come back to us and bought directly through the sales department. So, and it's an easier sale because that emotional element and the heart element isn't part of the transaction. So there isn't. it's a cultural piece. It's not, hey, if you give us this, we're going to give you that back. It's like, this is what we do at Paramount. This is how we operate. And it's not, well, I'll give you £100 referral and you give me £100. It's your job. It's property. It's, we are Paramount. And it's like, if we have a good reputation on the letting side and vice versa on the sales, we can both benefit from that. So I don't see it as one. I only see it as one. I don't see it, even property management, is often tucked away, out the way, or maybe accounts department or renewals team or whatever. We are one. We have to be bound as one, because that's how we're most powerful. And it's very empowering for the team as well to feel part of something bigger. And it isn't, it's not a perfect storm, far from it, but you're going to have a situation where the lettings team might have a great quarter and then the sales team might have a great quarter, but you work together, you make the best of it. And it's much more enjoyable that way. But you are right. I mean, when I started here, it was definitely, lettings were seen as very much the poor relation. And I remember sales were turning over big numbers, and we were turning over 10% when I started. And it was, made me feel pretty low. I was looking around, I was there by myself, and now sales have got 3 people and we've got 24. The tables have turned. But, that's market driven, of course. That's not just that, it's down to the team. But sales will come back. All that's happened is the lettings department has grown in terms of property volume, and we believe we need more resource to look after those people properly. You need to invest in the right team to make sure that your clients are looked after properly so they don't go anywhere else. The worst thing ever would be for a client to go to another agent, because they have to be so dissatisfied to do that. We would have made many mistakes and omissions to get there. But right now, there are lots of agents who are still not contacting their landlords, who are speaking to other landlords of agents who are having regular contact. And guess what? Oh, I wonder if I could, move now, because I've got a bit more time on my hands. I'm at home, and we've got a lot of new business that way. 27 new managed flats from just speaking to our developers, who just said, oh yeah, that's a good idea, Spence. We don't really want to sell. So that was a fantastic phone call or two. And now we're working on one landlord who's got 20 houses in North and Northwest London, been managed, but the management is move someone in, done. If there's an issue, then we'll resolve that leak or we'll do the gas safety. That's not management. That's not managing a property. That's not looking after the portfolio at all.
So what is management to you then?
Management to me is working with your client over a period of time to deliver the best possible outcome from them, depending on what their requirements are. So, and the only way to do that is by having regular communication with them. And hey, Stephen, we just let your flat. You got away with that kitchen again, Stephen. Fantastic. Well done, you. But you are really going to have to look at it in the next 24 months. So we've got a team now that can turn it around in 2 weeks. So potentially if your tenants are on holiday, we could get it done then. And you're looking at a rental uplift of X if the tenants are happy with that. If the tenants didn't want a new kitchen, then we've got to look at it at the next break in tenancy. So you can start preparing for that from a cash perspective. And we'll also, hold a little bit of money back from rental if landlords want that, to try and help them with their cash flow. More often than not, the landlords, the fact that they are just aware of the situation and the surprise is avoided, then yeah, no problem. You're ready to go. Stephen, we've just had notice. So that's the kitchen you chose. You still happy with that? Or do you want to look at anything else? While we're doing the kitchen, anything else in the property we should look at? Maybe the carpets need doing, or decorating a room or two, or a front garden or back garden, or whatever it is. And then you move along, and guess what happens? The landlord then has a product that's better, the rental uplift is there, and the capital appreciation is there off the back end of that as well. So it's a win-win-win situation. But the only way to do it is by having slightly difficult conversations with the landlord. And in your heart of hearts, Steve, that kitchen needs to be changed, don't you? Because you're a sensible man. You just need someone to push you a little bit.
Sometimes. Mrs. Brown may not agree with that, but yeah.
Anyway, you get my point. You know, it's forewarned. Forewarned is important.
So you talk about staying in touch, and obviously I'm a big fan of staying in touch with people. Have you found, is there a way where you can maybe, I'm going to go back to swearing on the rent only now. Have you found a way that you can convert the rent only into rent collection, or the rent collection into property management by having a stay in touch policy?
Well, let only for us is a dying breed. We've got less than 20 now across and they're literally hanging in there, these guys. Like they're all and guess what? They're the clients I've had for plus 2 decades. Well, you've always done it for me, Spence. It's like, yeah, it's time for a change. Maybe next. But rent collection to management, 21 days is a key date. So if you phone a landlord 21 days into their tenancy, that page has been rattled significantly by that tenant who's just moved in as they become used to their surroundings. And it's a great time to pick up property management. So how's it going? You know, they're phoning me all the time, the tenants, like, what's happened? Are they resolvable things? And, you know, it's just general questions and what have you. What about that property management piece that we talked about? You can turn that on just for a couple of months if you'd like to. Oh, really? Could you do it now? And it's like, yeah, let's do it. I'll call you in a couple of months and see if you want to turn it off. You phone them up a couple of months' time. Would you like to turn that management off? No. And the other one we do, you know, most letting agents would be fully aware of this, that the first month and the last month, when tenants first move in and you're giving the deposit back, that's not a great time to be a landlord. So offer management at that time. You know, okay. You can say, be flexible about your management offering. Stephen, you know, we can manage the first month. You like to have your son at Lord's watching the cricket every day. So
you know me too well.
So we're going to give you 2 months management in the middle, and we'll manage the back end as well. And then it's that try before you buy. And if that works for you as a scenario, the next time round, just say, you know what, just manage it for the whole length of the tenancy. But during that management piece, you have to make contact. It has to be valuable. It's not just about taking that call about the leaking shower or, you know, the washing machine that's not going. Hey, Arno, fantastic. I fixed the washing machine. I sent someone round. They collected the keys. They fixed the job. And I put the invoice on the system and it came out the rent. That's not property management. It's like, hey, Stephen, we've been round to the property. The tenants are looking after it really well. The good news is they do want to renew, but you might need to look at X, Y, Z. And have you spoken to our sales team recently? Are you looking to, you know, improve your financial position in terms of buying another asset? How would that look? And then we get so much opportunity from that, because if I don't ask you the question, you're not going to give me the answer. You're not going to just phone me up. Well, it's unlikely. You're just going to phone me up and say, hey, Spence, I want to buy another buy-to-let. I need to sort of cajole you a little bit in the nicest possible way. And there's many, many success stories that we've had off the back of that, just by building a relationship, staying in contact, sending that WhatsApp photo a bit. Yeah, just keep asking questions, you know, and you'll get an idea, a flavor, and that landlord will have a personality that sits beyond that professional landlord piece. And as soon as you get down into the nitty gritty, into the heart and soul of that landlord, it's just you've got another friend in your phone. It's fantastic.
Well, time is running away with us, and I'm very grateful for your time. There's a couple of questions and a couple more that I would like to ask, and then I'll get you let another 50 floor flats this afternoon. So Rav, hi Rav, hope you're well, from Windsor. How do you get a landlord to spend £15,000 to £20,000 on the new kitchen for an uplift of £100 per month?
Well, I don't think we put many £15,000 to £20,000 kitchens in. I think timing is everything. And if you have, the key question is to ask the landlord, how long are they keeping that asset for? Because you're not going to put a new kitchen in and get an immediate turn on your rental, but you can put a kitchen in, get the capital uplift. And when you're right, if your team are on every single property in our general notes, we know Stephen bought that property in 2013 at 230,000. We've spoken to our sales team pre having the conversation with Stephen. We now know it's worth 320, let's say. that new kitchen is going to push you a little bit more. Hey, Stephen, you've got this much sitting in the property. Would you like to speak to our financial advisor about releasing some equity and buying another property? We'll look for you, by the way. You don't even need to leave where you are right now.
So you're being incredibly proactive.
You're not going to say to someone, pay 15,000 and get 100 per month return. That's not what you were trying to achieve here. What you're trying to achieve is you're in for 10 years here, Steve, and that's your plan, isn't it? Because you're going to be giving this to your children, I think. Correct? And how many children have you got?
Too many.
Well, you've got one property, so we need to correct that straight away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need one each. So they're there that you're just creating that tiny bit of doubt. Oh yeah, no, we do need two. Like, how are we going to go about getting two? Because we need one each for the kids. So yeah, don't look at the immediate return. It's all about that. How long are you looking to retain this property for? And then work the capital investment around the longevity of that.
And what you're talking about, every word you're talking about is asset. You're not talking about property, you're talking about it as a person's asset. And the language that you're talking is very, very different to most agents that I know on the letting side talk about. So that's great. Here you go. Andrea said you could buy a flat in some areas for that much. What, 15 or 20,000 or £100 per month, Andrea? Which one? Going to get into trouble. Sorry for being cheeky. Rav, does that answer your question, please? Edward said, which reference company do you use, please?
We use Van Mildert, but we have two people on top of that working full time as our Inspector Cluzos to make sure Van Mildert have got it right. Yeah, they're the move-in support team. So they're office-based. They sit between the consultant and the move-in. So they have the ability to pull the plug on a deal if a deal isn't right. So you don't have a consultant speaking to Van Mildert direct and trying to make a deal happen because they've had a bad month. That just doesn't happen here. And that team who sit in the middle are fixed salaried. So success for them looks like we've moved in X number of people this month, and 6 months down the track, we've had no problems with any of them because they have no vested interest from a commercial perspective if that tenant moves in or not. It's all about how successful have those rent payments been. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Rav, thank you. Please, that's answered your question. Andrea, 15 to 20,000 pounds in Fife in Scotland. Okay, you're a big fan of Google reviews.
Yes, I was more of a fan pre-COVID.
You have a few. How many do you have?
700 and something odd. I don't know. They're all the team. They're not me.
I don't believe you.
They are.
Why do you think it's important for agents to be asking for Google reviews? I mean, 740 odd is phenomenal.
I think my answer has changed in the last few weeks on this. I think we were sort of stuck in the headlights a little bit with reviews in the past. I think Google reviews are fantastic for recruitment. So, a new starter, can have a peep into the business before they've started. It's really worked well for us. And I think new vendors and landlords like it. I think most buyers and tenants will think we just need to circumnavigate. We just need to get through this agency piece because that's our dream home. So I think it's less valuable now. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is my opinion, than I did a few weeks ago from a purchaser and tenant perspective. And one of the things we're doing and thinking about right now is very similar to Amazon, rating a product. We're going to get the current occupant to rate the property. So they can have carte blanche to write the pros, the cons, and every question, we seem to get asked all the time, why is the current tenant leaving? Well, we're going to let the occupant put, there's going to be a drop down moving to a different part of town or whatever, but it's going to be what they love about the property, and it could be the property or the area. And then there's going to be if there was one thing you could change about the property, what would it be? So it's all there. So it's the warts and all scenario. So we're not trying to, hide that thing behind the door or whatever. It's total and utter transparency, because the pros become much more believable when you're listing a con. And I think from an applicant perspective, particularly on the tenant side, for them to get an idea of how it was for the current occupant, I think that's really, really valuable. And that's something that we're going to be introducing to our site real soon.
Okay, so Andy said, love this concept, market leading as always, tenant review, Amazon style, first class. So thank you. Mandy, Spencer, when offering landlords management over rent collection for a few months, do you put up your fee? Do you put up their fee?
Yeah, so we charge at 5% plus VAT, and we just simply charge them for that period of time. So we'll charge, Stephen, we're going to charge you for a month at the start, and then we'll pull it if you want to, and then it's like a tap. You turn it on and off. So straight away, one of the our competitors here in West Hampstead will be saying you've signed up for management and that's it, and we'll be saying, Stephen, you know what? Things change. So you might want to do the management yourself. You might find some time to do it. You might enjoy doing it, but we're just here. You can turn it off for a month or two whenever you need to. So straight away, we're here to solve a problem. But the reality of what happens is almost everyone just turns the management on full time. But it's easy to turn on. It's a system thing. You're collecting the rent anyway. You just have the property manager on or off.
And how many one agent do you think can manage per managed property?
How many property managers? How many properties can a property manager manage?
Yeah.
Great question.
Good translation.
I think this depends on lots of things. Number one, let's say your sweet spot as a business, and I think businesses are going to change depending on the type of property, whether it's houses or flats or whatever, and distance from the office to the most outlying properties that they're managing, because there's travel time involved. Let's say you decide it's 140, and then you've got Joe and Bill. Okay, and Bill he's happy at 140. This guy is fantastic. 140, he's just on point. Everyone loves him. He's growing the business and all the rest of it. But 140 is where he's at. Joe comes along and actually has the ability to do 160. So it needs to be based on the individual, not on the company. And I think lots of us have got this wrong in the past. One of my big mistakes is definitely thinking that a property manager, this is how much a property manager manages as paramount. Well, it's ridiculous. It has to be based on the individual's ability to manage more. The other thing to think about is if you have a portfolio landlord, and we have a few of those large landlords, with hundreds of properties. If you've got 140 individual personalities, if I'm managing 140 Stephen Browns, that is hard work.
Thanks.
Okay. If I'm managing 2 Stephen Browns, life is a lot easier. The level of property is the same, but the personality is greatly reduced. So I think you need to look at the individual property manager's ability. You need to look at the numbers behind, the landlord numbers behind the property. And I think you also need to be thinking about personality matching, which is something we've tried to do, because you've got some landlords who you'll know the top 10 who are your hands-on landlords that are calling you all the time. Match those with a property manager who can handle them. Don't get them and water them down. Oh, you can have those 3 and you can have those, because it's not going to work for these property managers over here. This one, no problem, I've got it. Or you've got the really laid-back landlords. I don't want to hear from you at all. I'm paying you to manage the property. Just get on and manage it. Well, this is our more laissez-faire type property manager over here. So it's something, obviously it's not scientific, but it's something that we're aware of. And we'll also, on renewal, check in with the landlord. How's it going with the property manager? Do you want to change? Is there anything you'd like to change? What can we do better? And most of them will say, thankfully, yeah, doing a great job. There's a few bits and pieces. But if they want to change the property manager, they can. Well, why do you need to change them? What are we doing wrong? Hold on. Well, which personality matches that requirement? Let's switch them out. Because it's fluid, it's moving.
It's fun. I'm going to come to two questions, but I've just been writing some stuff down. And one of the things that I wrote down is about your systems and processes and how you're constantly reviewing it to make them better. So you're always trying to find that extra 1%, and tweak it and make the difference. I know, and I think you're a perfectionist, and I thought I was anal on doing things, but I think I've more than found my match with you. But what you're striving to do is what is best for your landlords and your customers and your tenants. And just by asking that simple question, what will make it better, you are going to find those little things where actually you're talking about those personality matches. But it's just those small marginal gains that make a massive, massive difference. And that's why I think you are an exceptional agent. Absolutely fantastic.
It's also, Stephen, on a valuation. If I say to you, we match up our property managers to the best of our ability with your personality. Tell me a bit about yourself. Okay, totally off-piece property. You're going to talk to me about all sorts of different things, and I'm going to learn bits about you straight away. And I can think, okay, well, that's going to go with Hannah. That's going to go with Steve. That's going to go with Reagan. But there's not many agents that are going to be having those type of conversations, I don't think.
No,
and that you need to be a bit more memorable. You need to be memorable. I think it's important, isn't it?
Okay. I agree. It's all about being memorable. It's all about magic, and showing that you're different and standing out. And it comes back to what you said, it's building that trust, so you've got people that trust you to go and buy properties for them. And as long as you've seen it and they're happy, they're more than happy for you to go, and you've built that over time. And that's fantastic. And to start, a business where presumably you were at nothing and you've grown it from 0 to 1,500, and a lot of those, again, you made a really interesting point earlier. A lot of agents are chasing the new landlord. They're chasing. And you've got so many existing landlords on there that you're already dealing with them, and trying to
they get neglected.
Get neglected. So and also, guess what? They've got friends that are landlords as well, and are you, and if you're asking them, look, are you happy with everything I've done? Do you have a friend? Spencer, have you got any friends?
Got a couple. Running
Only
out.
a couple, yeah. Are any of your friends landlords?
Yes.
Yeah. Would they be happy to maximise their investment?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Okay, and then it's starting to have that conversation. Now I didn't know Spencer had friends until I asked that question, but I now know he does, and I also know he's got landlords as well. So but it's building that rapport and building that relationship and asking those questions. But look, we'll finish off, Spencer. There's a couple of other questions here. So, do you not get confused landlords who, when the washing machine floods, they thought you were on a managed service? So how would you go about educating? So it's about education, yeah?
Yeah, it's not. It's just that's clear communication. It's just that it's not about the landlords being confused. It's the tenants who make the call. So the landlord, if they're on, they're on, and if they're off, they're off. So you need to point the communication line from the tenant to the relevant property manager. That just wouldn't happen, because it's not, the landlord doesn't want anything to do with it. The landlord doesn't want the tenant calling them with a management issue. Far from it. It's the tenant just, oh, I've got a problem. What do I do next? And that's what you need to pick up.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Rav. Does that answer your question? Andy, some clients are more high maintenance, and some property managers who are more touchy-feely, they will look after less in greater detail. Stephen Brown, you are anal, but you make your match with Spencer. Spencer, Spencer, has your growth been 100% organic, or have you purchased portfolios?
We haven't purchased a portfolio, no. the biggest success we had initially was knocking on the doors of agents. This was 10 years ago or so, and you know, I was just looking at them from the outside thinking, well, they must want to call it a day just from their facade and looking inside and what have you. And I did a couple of very small JVs with them, and offered a percentage of any fee that we got from existing clients of theirs on I think it was a buyout for 24 months or something like that. And that wasn't so successful. So 101 doors slammed in my face, but we got 2 landlords out of that. There was 120 units. Those landlords now have got 180 units, and I'm still managing the portfolios with the team. So that, you know, and then what happens is you get a portfolio landlord in, and they tend to know 1 or 2 other portfolio landlords. But no acquisition, although that is on the horizon. That's not something that we wanted to do. We needed to understand much more about us and what we needed as a team before we could jump into buying another company.
Okay, brilliant. So Rav, hopefully that answers your 2 questions. Wow, he goes. Okay, Andrea, I like the fact that Spencer's coordinated the colours in his T-shirt with the room he's in. There you go.
Yeah.
Spencer, you've been absolutely fantastic as always. You know, the gold that you give and the help that you give. You go. Even Chewy's giving you a round of barking now. He's got to come in and have the last word for the dog, as always. You've been exceptional. I love the fact that you always want to make things better in everything you do. You're always putting your colleagues and your customers and finding ways to improve, get better, make a massive difference. And you're certainly doing that. So thank you. Really, really grateful for your time this afternoon. It's run over. I think you've been the longest Facebook Live I've done. So thanks very much. Really, really grateful. Tomorrow morning at 7:30, I've got going to be joined by John McGrath and Troy Malcolm from Australia. So looking forward to that. So please join me tomorrow at 7:30. On Friday lunchtime, I've got Kevin Ellis, Tony at AV Relo, Paul Champolini, and hopefully a mortgage broker coming on to actually discuss what's going to happen and what is happening on the ground since everybody's been back. Lisa, great session and pointers. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Isaac Ball, great tips, exceptional agent. Mandeep Dillon, see all the old Green and Co are on watching. They're no longer there now, but they're watching and learning. Andrea, been really informative. Thank you. Ruth, thanks guys. That's really interesting. Grateful for you watching. If you're watching on replay, thanks so much for joining and staying right to the end. Really appreciate it. Spencer, have a really productive afternoon. Keep on doing what you're doing. You're absolutely amazing. You're credit to the industry, credit to the profession, and credit to your company. So thanks very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.